हिरण्यवाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतये उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः। ॐ नमो हिरण्यवाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतये उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः। ॐ नमो हिरण्यवाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतये उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः। ईशानः सर्वविद्यानां ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपति ब्रह्मणोऽधिपति ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो। ईशानः सर्वविद्यानां ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपति ब्रह्मणोऽधिपति ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो। ईशानः सर्वविद्यानां ईश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपति ब्रह्मणोऽधिपति ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो। तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वाग्विशुद्धाय धीमहि तन्नः शिवः प्रचोदयात्। महादेवाय विद्महे रुद्रमूर्तये धीमहि तन्नः शिवः प्रचोदयात्। नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। श्रीमन्महादेवाय
Right. Hello, y'all. Good evening. So I'm not going to be here that long, but I want to come and talk about sex and relationships and demons, as well as some people and their sexual exploits and what they really mean and what that really means for your family, your afterlife, your reincarnation, your spirit, and your soul. So, I am High Priestess Jamila, just to let you guys know. I'm not what you would consider to be new age because everything is so mixed up and confused and jumbled and cracked up and messed up. Um, and I've prided myself on staying above that kind of fray. So um, I live in Georgia now under the Bible Belt, but it really doesn't matter where you live because this is all over the globe. And the one thing that I can tell you is that a lot of religious leaders will preach to you about celibacy. And in my opinion, celibacy is a mistake. If you are with the right person, you can have sexual intercourse every single day, and there isn't any boredom, there isn't any problem. But what I've noticed is, people in Georgia and their sex parties and stuff, and their orgies, and these so-called sex rituals and stuff. And the reason why I choose to stay old fashioned and old school is because I know that those things are a trick. There are a lot of people that, on a more primal, instinctual level, they know that sex is needed for their personal health and balance. And for some reason, one way or the other, there's a cycle of your time in your life where you may be forced into celibacy. And the reason why, especially men, are forced into celibacy is so that certain demonic entities can come in and sort of take possession over your body so that they can do what they want to you and to your spirit and to your family. Hey, from Sweden, hello. And so what a lot of people end up doing is they begin to become lost in these demonic, very harmful sex rituals and sex orgies and different types of sex with people. And the reason why is because you're thirsty. So, for example, there's a lot of men, in particular on YouTube, um, at some point in their life, they wanted somebody to love and honor and cherish. However, there were demons, bad demons, that were working against this. And the demons and a lot of the stuff that's under religion is demonic. It has nothing to do with your actual primal nature, okay, which is the nature of human beings is to procreate with one person, and that's just it. But a lot of these demons, what they'll do to start working on you and your spirit is they will take sex out of the equation. And what this will lead to is sexual perversions. So, for example, if you're a man and no woman will look at you, no woman is just, all women will reject you. They won't want anything to do with you. And, because you're not getting what your body needs spiritually, which sex is a spiritual experience, it's not anything even physical. Okay. So, what these particular entities will do is they will move people away from you to mix you up and scramble you. And the next thing you know, either a year later or 2 years later, you're in such bad need for sex that you'll begin to get sex from wherever you can, which is i.e. prostitutes, is at the top of that list. And then it sort of advances, it probably starts with porn and then prostitutes. And then the next thing you're a grown man and you're at a sex party and you're having sex with both a man and a woman because you're so thirsty that, you just want sex from wherever it comes, and you'll agree to do anything just so that you can get sexual satisfaction. Now, a lot of people will assume, well, I can do all of those things and then I can just go to church on Sunday and ask for forgiveness and then I'm automatically forgiven and I'm washed of my sins. But a lot of your sins, a lot of what you think is a sin. And here's what I will tell you is that it's only a sin to you to have sex with demonic entities and people with lower frequencies. And it's because you want to prove something, but in reality, what is there for you, you'll turn away from that and say, well, I don't think this is good enough. I want to do something extremely freaky, because a lot of people think that being freaky is having sex with, dogs and, prostitutes and, having orgies and things of that nature. But what you're not understanding, and see, this is the reason why a lot of people were not given the proper education when it comes to their own body. Because if you are participating in things like that, your body and your spirit and your energy is being used. So this is why a lot of Christians have very freaky sex orgies, and then they go to church and they try to suck energy from people like me who are very pure, so to speak, because I am pure compared to a lot of people, because I just don't go around having sex with everybody. I don't participate in sex orgies. I've cleansed myself of any energy that involves threesomes, um, bisexuality, lesbianism. I'm just not into those things. And that's not to say that I'm saying that lesbians are wrong, but they were definitely doing a big ritual over the past couple of days. They were doing rituals and stuff. And so if you were somebody that was compelled to, leave a sexually satisfying person so that you could go and have demonic orgy intercourse with, people that essentially have a spiritual stench that is on them, then, those entities are able to hex you. And this is the reason why you had all this sex, but then you woke up the next morning and you were miserable. You were literally miserable because those entities are putting demonic spirits inside of you. This is one of the reasons why I rarely watch any kind of porn. Rarely. Porn can be very seductive because, this is very extreme sexual energy that a lot of people can pick up on, whether or not the porn actress is acting or whether or not it's actually real. So the reason why I am old fashioned and old school is because I know what's happening and see a lot of people that participate in these orgies. They think, oh, I'm cool, I'm happening. And then at the same time, I'm getting this sexual gratification. But to be honest with you, it's sexual gratification for your physical, but it's not it's not spiritually satisfying your soul at all. In fact, what it's doing is it is creating a emptiness inside of you that is very empty. And so, this is why old school people, because everybody's doing it, everybody wants to, have these weird sex parties and orgies that may sometimes involve their family, and then, demonic entities, demonic people that may be watching, and, people think that this is cool and this is what you're supposed to do. But when you think about it, it was all a setup, because where you were at was you were in a position to where you may have had the capability to love. And what these certain entities will do is they will feed off of you during these particular rituals. Okay. So Dissector Khan said lustful sex, non-spiritual. Depends on who you're lusting after. So what they'll tell you is they'll say, oh, well, this person that you actually want, turn away from them. But then what you're going to do is you're going to turn away from somebody, because lust is want. That's basically what lust is. Lust is want. So if it's somebody that has an open heart chakra that is there and is prepared to love you, a lot of people these days are turning away from those people so that they can go and have these weird sex orgies, which is really just draining you and sucking you dry of all of your energy, which will eventually kill you. So the reason why I decided to stay old school, and this has nothing to do with the Bible, this has nothing to do with religion. This is what was around since the beginning of man, the beginning of mankind, was where you had one woman and one man, and this is where it is at. This is why, as a byproduct of all of this weird sex that people are having, is venereal diseases. And people that have these kind of weird sexual experiences, they want to blame science, and they want to say, well, scientists are what created a lot of the diseases that we have out there. But in reality, a lot of the STDs are actually spiritually transmitted diseases. So I live in Atlanta, where, a lot of the men are bisexual and they think it's cute. And they don't understand why they're suffering from a cognitive dissonance, because on one hand, you want to be with the woman that you love, but on the other hand, you want to go and do all of these weird sexual acts that leave you empty, and you're not able to discern. So a lot of people have been tricked in this way, and they have been lied to so that you can go and use your sexual energy for something that is very demonic. And then you end up confused. You end up feeling dirty and disgusting the next day. I know a lot of people who are doing that. Last night, y'all, I could pick up on the disgusting sex rituals that were happening in the Atlanta area. I pray for those people, because you're not experiencing good sex. You're experiencing being demonically possessed. And you're for damn sure ain't experiencing no kind of love. Stop telling yourself that that's love, because that's not love. That's desperation. You were desperate when you committed that act, because for years and years, this entity programmed you and trained you and conditioned you to say, well, this is everybody doing it. I saw somebody down here a few years ago. There was a black woman, and this sister decided to have a sex orgy. And that is because black women are constantly being denied sex. They're constantly being denied their mate. And a lot of men are just complete idiots. Okay. Men are stupid. And the reason why I have to be so harsh about that is because you need somebody to be harsh to you, to tell you, so that you can wake up, so that you can know how stupid you're being. So a lot of men are caught up in this perversion that is killing you, because there's a difference between making love to the person that you love and loves you, and having some kind of wild freaky sex orgy. The next day you're going to wake up and you're going to feel empty, because that's exactly what you were. That's exactly what you are, because your spirit and your energy and your kundalini is being drained from you. See, when you have a normal sexual occurrence with somebody that is your mate, then what is happening is you are exchanging energy. This kind of energy affects your endorphins for a very, very long time. But when you are having, these ritual sexual orgies, you're being used by a demonic entity, and you think that you're doing something special because it's been years and years and ain't no woman paid no attention to you. And you didn't realize that the reason why wasn't no woman paying attention to you is because you were cursed, and you were underneath the curse of ignorance. And these entities took sex out of your life. They took sex out of the equation so that you could develop these weird sexual fantasies, which is why porn is so disgusting these days. And, and porn has been disgusting for years and years. Um, and you just think that you're doing something special. You think you're a part of something that's special, but in reality, you're just an idiot. You're just ignorant. And you get up the next morning and you can't face your wife, even if it's a husband and a wife that participates in this. You can barely look at each other, kind of like in Rosemary's Baby, when they drugged Rosemary, conjured the devil, and allowed the devil to have sex with her and impregnate her. And then she could tell that her husband couldn't even look at her because, she said, if you look at that movie, she says to her husband, are you going to tell me why you haven't been looking at me? And he made some kind of excuse. If Rosemary's husband would have been smart and he would have been spiritually protected, then those people would not have been able to take advantage of his ignorance. And we have a lot of people that are very ignorant sheep, and they've been taught to be that ignorant sheep. And a lot of people will say, well, I did this and it earned me a lot of money. Well, you know what? I don't participate in that kind of stuff, and I earn a lot of money every single day. May not be what people think, because what they got to do is they got to get you addicted to drugs. They got to get you addicted to all kind of psychotropics so that you can be out of your mind, so that you can be more susceptible to those things. And what you end up doing is a lot of those things go into your subconscious, and it makes you hate yourself. And the self-hatred just goes deeper and deeper the more that you participate in these things. Because I could sense a bunch of people at church today trying to rid themselves of their sins. But sex with somebody that you love is not a sin. I actually had an uncle that was a preacher. He's passed and gone now, but he explained to me all about men and women, and he explained to me that The rings that you give to a woman and the ring that a man wears is a symbol of their love for each other, and the wedding is a celebration. But nobody's celebrating if the next day you're miserable. And you have to think about old fashioned people like me who would not ever dare participate in some crap like that. And trust me, I've been invited and I said no. And I'll never, ever. In fact, I thought about going out last night, but I said, no, I'm just going to stay home because, everybody that's out there in the night, they're just looking for some kind of, lower chakra sexual experience, because all of your sexual experiences come from your brain. So a lot of people are addicted to those things, and they say, oh, well, I got a picture of this person's penis or I got a picture of this person's vagina. But, does that person love you? I doubt it very seriously. And I doubt that they would tell you that. So you're very lucky when somebody does say, I love you. But a lot of people are very, very easily influenced. And see, when it comes to men, if you've participated in things like that, this is one of the reasons why I would rather hook up with a man that ain't never had sex before in his life. Because a lot of people will think, oh, well, the more sex you have, the more experienced you are. And that's not true. Because sex has nothing to do with experience. The energy exchange between the man and the woman has nothing to do with how much experience you have and how many women that you've slept with or how many men that you've slept with, because it's all very personal to that man and that woman. It has nothing to do with outsiders. This is the reason why you should not share your sexual exploits with everybody. And a lot of these demonic people that are on very low frequencies, when you talk about sex with a person that's old fashioned, they always get jealous because they are either refusing themselves to experience that real sex, real sexual energy. Okay. Here we got one in the chat room that says that sex is animalistic and unnecessary, and that's actually not true. So a lot of you have been taught a lot of ignorance, and you'll tell yourself that you're not supposed to have sex, but then for some reason you're being used in these weird orgies and you don't know why. So I can imagine that Albert Draper, the reason why he has such a low opinion of sex is probably because he was involved in something that is disgusting, and he wants to say that he wants to speak negative things when it comes to sex. That's why. Yeah, I'm being serious right now. So last night I made a post on Facebook, and I'm serious about this. And if I suspect that, somebody is doing these types of things, then I'll stay the hell away from you. Because I personally think that those types of things are curses. They generate curses on your life. I posted, I'm old fashioned, no hard drugs, sex parties, orgies, threesomes, kids, animals, feces, piss, slapping, hitting, or crazy shit. People have lost their minds due to lack of sex to allow demons to use them this way. So a lot of people will say, well, I get all my sex from a sex orgy or some freaky that I did, and you can't tell me otherwise. And that's because you're impatient. That's because you haven't figured out the lesson. Okay. Your activities, exactly, Albert Draper, exactly. Your sexual activities with demonic entities or lower level entities is going to absolutely generate your curses. Exactly. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that you don't like the message. It's probably because you're a whoremonger. Bye. I'll see you later. Get out of my chat. Okay. Bye. So that's not bad energy. What I am teaching you guys is intelligence. What I am teaching you right now is respect for your spiritual and your mental. And clearly, there's a lot of people that don't have it. This person is upset and angry because evidently hit dogs holler. And you know that you're not the man for me if you're going around whoremongering. You just won't be allowed to be anywhere near me ever. Because number one, you're not equally yoked with me. So if you are one of these types of people, and I realize that these types of people, they enjoy screwing with people's heads and turning people on to those types of activities. But this one over here, you won't ever get. Okay, you won't ever get this energy over here. So there's a lot of lower level demonic entities that have confused people, and unfortunately, people like me, and this is why I did the reading that I did last night about people who are faced with these types of people who are whoremongers, who are very confused, who hurt people. And please believe that there is a man out there that thinks the same exact way that I think, and he's looking for me, and the universe is going to bring us together so that we don't have to be bothered with things like that. And I'm sorry, it's not to say that you're damned for life, but at that moment, what you're participating in it's not what you think it is, and you think that you're happening. And a lot of especially when it comes to African American men, it just really breaks my heart the way that they get involved with weird sexual relationship with married couples, and somebody's husband and wife, and you're the big you're the BBC, and you're having sex with these people, but they're just draining you completely. And once they've done that, you really have no spiritual energy to give to any woman, at least until you fill the void that they took out of you. That's just the truth about it. So that's the reason why I am old school and old fashioned. I would never participate in something disgusting like that, because these are entities that are using you. And these are not entities that are even native to this planet as though people think that they are. These are entities that don't actually have sexual organs, but they have jealousy of human beings that do have sexual organs. And they use those human beings to satisfy their needs because they want to be something that they are not, which is a human being. You don't need another woman. You don't need two other women or three other women to have sex with. You don't need the dog and the cat and the bird involved in the situation, or the fish. To be honest with you, it's a curse for you to be having interspecial sex with animals, but we see a lot of people that do it. And the reason why they do it is because you've become sexually perverted. And so it gets to the point where normal, ordinary sex, and they'll kill your penis and your vagina. They'll kill it. It'll just be dead without much feeling. You start to your sexual organs start to desensify. They start becoming very insensitive. It's where there's not a lot of sensation down there, because you need all of this weird sex, and then you want to try to make it seem like it's that other person's fault. Somebody that is trying to teach you to learn your body and learn who you are, but you're wrapped up in all of this perversion. And most of the time, it won't even be a physical perversion. It'll just be something that's online. So then you really ain't doing nothing. This is why these entities are able to feed off of you through video chat and all kinds of other means. And then you'll think, hey, I'm happening, I'm happening because for some reason, ordinary relationships are seen as not cool. So a lot of people, they want to be happening. Okay. How do I feel about toys for women? I don't have anything against vibrators, especially if you have to self pleasure yourself. Um, However, I think that just like any other object, you need to cleanse and consecrate those objects. And I don't think that it's anything wrong with that, especially being that a lot of our men have become so perverted, confused, and desolate of any sexual energy because all of their sexual energy is being stolen by these demonic entities. And it's so bad because what they did was they convinced women that sex is bad and that you're dirty if you have sex with one person. And so these women will think some type of way about themselves, and then that completely cuts out the men, and then the men think that what they're doing is what they're supposed to do, which it's all rape and sodomy at the end of the day. And you're not raping somebody else, you're raping yourself. So this is one of the reasons why I don't even want to see a sex orgy. I don't even want to see it. For what I need to look at that for? I'd rather paint a picture or clean my house. So, and when you got a man that's wrapped up in that, or either a woman, if you're not involved in that, they'll try to make you feel sexually inadequate or sexually unattractive because they have been taken over by these demonic, aka reptilian beings that has completely stolen your sexuality as a man and as a woman. So there's a lot of people that are extremely confused, and by the time you figure it out, it's probably going to be a little too late, because that's the whole point of them having that contract with you. When you agree to those sorts of sexual perversions, and I'm just here to tell you, and big up to the feminists and other women that were trying to warn people about sadistic sexual activities like 50 Shades of Grey. I don't want a man to hit me or berate me. I've done nothing to deserve that kind of treatment. I would rather him caress me and massage me. When you're participating in BDSM, which is why I don't practice it anymore, okay, and I've never actually practiced it before. And thank God that the spirits protected me from that kind of stuff because, when you're involved in that stuff, it does pervert you. And I remember when 50 Shades of Grey first came out. I remember it was in I think it was like 2013 or 2014. And it was almost like a love spell. I actually made a video years ago about the 50 Shades of Grey love spell because I fell under that too, but spirit definitely protected me from those types of relationships, because what they do is they create an emptiness inside of you. Sex is meant to heal your heart chakra every day. If you're having demonic, traumatic sexual intercourse with someone to where you're trauma bonding with them, then you're doing things in reverse. So I've actually, because I always set my own intent, and when I've had sex with a man just recently, you could feel the energy from my kundalini being pushed up to the heart chakra and the crown chakra to invigorate those particular areas of your body, of your spiritual body, as well as your physical body. But when you're doing things like that to where you're abusing yourself, then this is going to be and result in the sexual energy in reverse, which is why a lot of those people that are participating in those activities, they end up with a bunch of health problems, mental problems, and spiritual problems that will manifest in their life. As a man, if you're participating in that, you've got to get yourself a cleanse, because the more and more that you delve into those things, the worse that it gets, to the point where you can't even get out of bed. You don't have no energy to do nothing. Why don't you have any energy? Trust and believe it has nothing to do with all that liquor that you did the night before. Nothing to do with it. I think I had probably 4 glasses of red wine last night, and I still woke up very energized this morning and ready to face the day and ready to face all of the demons. When you are participating in that stuff as a man, you are being drained of everything inside of you that is you. Doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent, you're still being drained, and it just really doesn't matter. If you're a woman that is participating in that, then you are participating in self-harm. What people need to do is cleanse themselves and come back to nature, because it is in the human mammal's nature to procreate with one person for life. Now, that doesn't mean that you've got to become a Christian or a Catholic or be converted to some kind of religion. You don't have to do that. But what you got to do is you got to get yourself one person that you love, that you're attracted to, that you can make love to. And that way, see, there's a difference between effing, which is Fucking, and making love. Because what you're doing is you're creating energy that your heart chakra can use. All of those energies of trauma and, bondage and things of those nature. This is the reason why all of those bondage and sadomasochism activities that you're involved in, it just really makes your life a whole lot worse. It's very important for you to understand how these lower dimensional entities have used you for their own kinks, perversions. They laugh at you because it's quite idiotic for you to covet things like that and for you to enjoy things like that. And I don't want to use the word idiotic. Let's say the word ignorant, which means not knowing. Now, somebody that is an idiot is going to still hear the truth, but will continue to participate in those activities that don't feed your soul at all. And you run around here and you figure, well, all these women rejected me for all these years. And the reason why you were rejected was because of that entity was conditioning your mind to think that this is the only way that I can actually get any sexual pleasure or sexual gratification. So then if that's the only way that you can get sexual gratification, then the next day you're going to have to do it over again, but you're still creating a void inside of you to the point where, your body parts won't even have any sensitivity to them. And that's the reason why you lose a lot of the sensitivity, to the point where you have to literally, if you're a man, you literally, have to have so much pressure on your penile gland, your penis gland, because that's a gland. Okay, it's a body part, so to speak. And this is the reason why you have to have so much stimulation. And see, this is way too much stimulation than you're supposed to have as a human being. So this is why these types of ignorant men will come and they will say, well, I can't have you. I got to have a COCK ring, and I've got to have somebody behind me stimulating my prostate. I've got to have a man behind me stimulating my prostate, and then a woman in front of me stimulating, or either another man stimulating my prostate, or either a woman, depending on what freaky stuff that these folks do. And that is the reason why you have to have an overstimulation. And as you overstimulate your sexual organs, they are losing their natural ability to provide yourself pleasure, which is why you should withhold yourself from those things and think more of yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to wait for the right woman. And men have the ability to do that too. They just play dumb. Okay, and when those entities get to you, and when you have an overflow of that ignorance running through your body, then that is when you have to come back to a woman like me to get some kind of reciprocity. But a lot of times those women will abandon you and move on because they realize how ignorant and idiotic that you actually are. And they don't want no parts of it. So you can essentially ruin your life. And what you'll have to do is you have to come back and you'll have to do it all again. And a lot of y'all won't even know why, but there's typically that inner voice that is telling you, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be participating in this. If you can't go into something with perfect love and perfect trust, I wouldn't do it. And I'm a spiritualist. I'm a spiritualist, and I can honestly tell you that the only sex that I want is with my significant other or my mate. I want nothing to do with any of that disgusting stuff. It's disgusting for a reason. The reason why it is seen as disgusting, because that's what it is. It's disgusting. Only thing that's going to help you out and save you from that is if you cleanse yourself. And then those demons will either go somewhere else or go back wherever they came from. A lot of people, their root chakra is ruined, especially men, because there's a lot of, misshapen, mishapen men who will abuse young boys at a very young age to pervert them. So that's the whole point of sexual abuse very on, is to pervert the youthful male so that he can grow up and become a detriment and a curse for any woman that has him in her life. And a smart woman, a wise woman, aka a witch, is going to recognize that in you, and she's going to suggest that you get a cleanse. The more and more you avoid that cleanse of your spirit and your soul, the worse that it's going to get, because they're not feeding your heart chakra. See, real sex with somebody that you love is going to feed your heart chakra what it needs. But when you're doing those things that are off the kilt and ridiculous and stupid, then you're feeding in reverse. In fact, you're not getting anything out of it. You're getting what you think is sexual gratification, but then 5 minutes later, you got to be back at it again to try to make yourself feel better for what you just did. And then, you can't even look in the mirror. You can't even look in the mirror at yourself. You feel so, low about yourself. And it's not people like me that are making you feel low. It's other people that are making you feel low and very dirty. And you got to save yourself from that, because by the time you hit your 50s and 60s, you're not going to have no sensation down there to where it won't even get excited. And you got to have somebody, if you a woman, drive a jackhammer through that thing to even get some kind of response out of you. So sex every day is very normal. Yeah, it's meant for us to have sex every day. But when you're having sex every day with several people, and that person, you're not being true to your heart, and your sexual partner, because there's a difference between a significant other and a lover and a sexual partner. A sexual partner is just what they are. They're just a sexual partner. The word sex and the meaning of sex is far deeper and more spiritual than even these men that run around here with the sexuality of I own you. That is the worst thing ever. It causes things to be blocked. It causes the woman to block herself off from you. Now, I realize that a lot of people, when I initially come with some new knowledge, they don't want to listen to me. Just like I said, that negativity and negative energy creates cancer in your body. It causes cancer cells to grow. That is the number one thing that is causing cancer in your body, not even so much the food that you eat, but it's your behavior and the people that you keep around you, and then your activities and the way that you think, the way that you talk, and the way that you look at yourself as a sexual being. So in a couple of more years, science will say the exact same thing that I've said if they haven't already said it, but they'll put it in the same words that I put it. And then people will say, oh, well, maybe this is what it's it, because a lot of you have been taught ignorantly to not listen to women. Okay. So nobody has to be your Jesus figure. Jesus did not die for your sins. Jesus died because of violence and probably because he was being persecuted. Okay. But Jesus don't die for your sins. If that was the case, we would have no quote unquote sins in this world. But a lot of people still like to try to adopt people that are supposed to be a part of their sins. And I'm going to say it right here. If you think you're gay or you're lesbian, you're just under demonic influence, period. You can get mad at me and say, oh, well, you just speaking against gay people. No, I'm not. I'm letting you know what's going on. Okay. And I healed myself of that sexual dysfunction, because it is a sexual dysfunction. I am a woman that is meant to receive. Another woman does not have the proper equipment to give me what I need. Men are meant to give. So a man going inside of you, you think, oh, well, this is where it is, and it's a mistake. It's time for you to heal yourselves of those perversions. Those are sexual perversions. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, you sound like the Christians, or you sound like the Baptists, or I sound like a Buddhist. I sound like a shaman. Okay, so this is the reason why a lot of women will go through these sexual perversions, and the reason why a lot of men will, because you're not quite understanding the demonic entity that is keeping the things that you need sexually out of your life. Sex orgies, sex parties, threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes, dead sex, dead. You're getting nothing and you're gaining nothing from those activities. Because even if you were doing that, let's say that you decided, okay, well, I'm going to do these things as a ritual. And let's say the next day after you do these things, you manifest $20,000 or even $1 million. All of that money is going to be empty. It's not fulfilling to you. This is why a lot of my clients have a lot of money. I have a lot of clients that have money. People don't, you know, a lot of my clients, they come from various backgrounds and various money. So it's dead. You're having dead sex, period. Okay, that's why you got to go to these sex orgies, and then the next day you at the emergency room talking about, doctor, I think that my heart getting ready to stop. Because you're not feeding your heart chakra. Don't ask me why it's that way, and quit telling me that you can change it, because you can't never change the reality. No matter how much of a powerful practitioner that you are, you will never be able to change the anatomy or the DNA of the human body. Never. You'll never be able to change the DNA of the human body. You can only change the minds and the hearts, but the DNA is always going to stay the same. Okay? So I'm not a preacher that's preaching to you. I'm just telling you the truth because I love you and I care about you. And I'm tired of seeing people run around here confused. Last night, I was absolutely disgusted by all of and the weekends is very, very difficult, especially in Georgia, especially on Friday, because that demon is just out roaming. Friday is supposed to be the day of Aphrodite. Aphrodite does not agree with those types of rituals. Neither do any of the other deities. A lot of them do not agree with those types of rituals and those types of sexual activities. And for some reason on Friday and Saturday, I can sense all of these demonic rituals that are, you know, that people are being, you know, either initiated in, because a lot of people think, oh, I was initiated because I had 12 people have sex with me, so I'm special and I'm initiated. But then every other day, you coming back to somebody like me that would never be initiated in something, and you're trying to feed off of me every day. Every day. Why don't I feel good, and why does Jamila feel good? Why did I wake up the next day from this sex orgy and I don't feel good? So now I got to go and cry to the divine mommy. Because the divine mommy done already told you that. Okay. A normal sexual act is with a man and a woman. And this is the most physically, mentally, and spiritually satisfying act. After you do that, you still craving what you crave, which is that person that loves you. I know y'all thumbsing it down, but a lot of y'all gonna have to get rid of a lot of that whoremongering. You're gonna have to. Eventually, it's gonna come to you. And by that time, you know, you'll be completely desensitized to sex, and you'll wonder what's wrong with you, and then you can't even get it up to pleasure your wife that you done decided to get, you know, to get with. Okay. So anyway, if you guys are tied up with these penis demons and these vaginal demons, these vaginal demons, I can definitely help you with that, because it's completely blocked your level of intimacy. Sex is meant to put you in a state of being to where you have heightened frequencies. A lot of those sexual perverted acts that you're doing is not a heightened sexual frequency. It's not. In fact, a lot of men do it out of desperation, because for some reason men think, well, you know, I don't want it to be another drought, so I'm just going to get all the sex that I can. But you need to quit thinking of sex in that way and change your mindset when it comes to your sexual energy. stop allowing other demonic entities and frequencies, because that's what they do. They lead you to be alone and living with your mama, or either living with your family members and you're alone, and then you go and then you participate in these sexual exploits, and you just end up draining yourself, and you end up with all sorts of cancers in your body. You wonder why you're unhealthy. Okay, they can't feed off of a healthy body. Humans can. If you're a human, this is why we got so many human beings at the church praying and praying and praying. And then people like me can feel that negative energy because you're trying to steal the joy out of people that have joy, because none of that is joy. None of that is happiness. It's all a lie and it's dead. Okay. So if you guys need to reach me, the link to my website is below. Go ahead and go to the other reading that I did last night about how most people are just lost and wandering and wondering, why am I confused? Why do I have to sit here and smoke blunt after blunt after blunt after blunt? And I'm completely disconnected from everything and anything. It's because they're disconnecting you, essentially. And a lot of times you'll be so disconnected that you won't know what is what. You won't even know what's up and what's down. Okay? Especially if y'all got some woman out there that loves you and you a man and you out there doing awful, disgusting, despicable stuff with your body. And if your wife is not there participating in it, then you're bringing all those demons and dead energy back home to your wife for her to do what with it? What is she going to do with it? And, you know, a lot of these whoremongers and prostitutes, they got rituals for y'all. They got demons that turn you out on that stuff. That's why they always trying to make you gay. And everybody looking at everybody's penis. And it likes it. But then on the inside, you hate yourself for who you are. And what you've done. And it's shameful when you have women that are with men like that and they participate in that. They're not being teachers like they're supposed to be. But, you know, we got so many women out here that are actual men that look like women. You know, they go and they get their estrogen shot, and then all of a sudden it's supposed to be a woman again. But a woman is made up of so much more than just an estrogen hormone. We're made up of spiritual energy that cannot and will not ever be replaced. So this is one of the other things that we're working on in Georgia, and the spirits are doing it out of love for you because they know how confused you are, especially over here in Atlanta, where it's the mecca of you know, gay, bisexual, and down low men. And, you know, they'll give you MGTOW and they'll tell you, oh, the women that have children, and the way, you know, they always want to turn you off of women that are able to procreate. And you got to think about, why is that? Why is everybody standing in judgment of women that procreate and women that have the ability to procreate? Because it is trying to feed you death. And some of y'all ain't gonna get to come back. Some of y'all spirit is gonna be lost. And everybody got the spiritual knowledge that they need. Okay, when it comes to that. All right. So I'll see y'all later. Love and light, peace and blessings.